Well, needless to say, it's been pretty wild here on the backside the past 24 hours. So many changes, so many things that have kind of come into play. So we decided to bring in America's Best Racing and Dan Tordjman to break it all down. You guys have been here, and I have to say thank you for taking the time. And you got your hat on and everything.
Oh, well,
right?
I mean, of course. I mean, it's Derby week, Oaks Day. I got a little bit of pink.
Do it.
Not all that much.
Do
but,
it, right?
We've got a whole team out here. Couldn't be more grateful that we have such a strong team and a big presence out here, and appreciate you giving us the opportunity.
And I love to, I think if people, especially our viewers, have a chance to check you all out on Instagram, you have a very unconventional way, I love it, of approaching breaking down the Oaks races, breaking down the Derby contenders, that is so relatable, I think, that you all make it very approachable and fun to follow horse racing.
Well, thank you. That's the whole idea. It can be an intimidating sport, right? If you didn't grow up around it, if you don't know too much about it, even if you did grow up around it sometimes, there's so much to learn, and so that's what America's Best Racing is. Both on our social media channels, we try to show the best of the lifestyle of the sport and make it, this sort of thing where you want to learn more.
Yeah.
And so we take people behind the scenes, we take them into the lives of the horses, of the trainers, of the jockeys, and we kind of just show you the full gamut of what's available. And then on our website, americasbestracing.net, we have all this great information. If you've never made a bet before, or you've never been to the Derby before, and you want to know what to wear and how to approach it, all that's there.
It's all there. All right, what happened the past 24 hours? Dan. Mind blown. I was like texting our producer, Grace, like yesterday. I'm like, oh God, another one's out. Oh my gosh. And then somebody's suspended. I mean, it was really, it was wild, it's shocking, but probably for you, you're thinking in your mind, oh, now who's coming into the Derby race? Because I feel like that's the most mysterious thing of how that's going to shake up the race.
Yeah, I mean, I do, like, I fell in love with racing through, like, the whole process of figuring out the handicapping and the puzzle of picking a winner. So for me, I'm always looking at the pace and how a race might unfold. And so with 3 defections, which is unconventional, which is totally not the norm, right? Occasionally we have 1 scratch maybe, or 2, but to have 3 horses come out of the race and then 3 horses come into the race.
This big of a race.
I mean, it really shakes things up.
So the biggest thing that you see is what? This really messes with the pace.
I think so.
Pace is going to change.
So one of the horses that draws in is Cyclone Mischief for Dale Romans, obviously. Everyone's rooting for Dale, right? I mean, especially in Louisville. How could you not? This will be his 12th runner he's had in the Derby. He's excited, and his plan is, hey, we're going to send the horse out of the gate. We're at post 21. Actually, it's post 18 because he's drawn in, but he's number 21, like Rich Strike last year. So he's going to be going to the front. So unlike Rich Strike, he won't be coming late. He'll be right in the front. And what he'll be doing is he'll be pressing the pace with horses like Reincarnate, Derma Sotogake, the Japanese horse that has had a lot of buzz around him. And that could set up for horses sitting just off of them, including horses like Disarm, Angel of Empire, Forte. And so those horses now should have a little bit more pace to run into. There are already some hype around those horses, and I think now maybe they go off as even bigger favorites.
You mentioned, does this affect, you think, the pace of Forte? Because it's like, I feel like right now, Forte is so unbeatable, right? But does the pace change up the game for Forte and make him a little beatable?
I don't see it hurting him in any way. At the end of the day, he still has to make his move from off the pace, and I think he'll just have a more honest pace to run into. I do want to say Mandarin Hero is one of the horses who drew in. The Japanese horse everyone's talking about is Derma Sotogake, who's number 17, but Mandarin Hero will now be number 22. A lot of buzz around him. He's a horse who almost won the Santa Anita Derby, just missed. Now he gets a little more ground.
The Santa Anita Derby winner's out, scratch. So
so if you like that horse, if you liked Practical Move, now maybe you like Mandarin Hero.
You mentioned the Japanese contingent that's here. Do you think this is the best shot this year with the international horses of making a big play in the Derby, of actually winning? Because Dermot Sogogate out earlier today, very intimidating horse. I mean, it's something else.
Yeah, no, they're not messing around.
No.
We've seen it at the Breeders' Cup last year. They pulled a couple of upsets. We've seen them in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, all these big international festivals. The Japanese horses are showing up, and they're winning big races, especially on the dirt. It's just a matter of time before it happens, and it seems like this is the strongest hand that Japan has had ever. And so,
how do they train? Like, I feel like there's this mystery.
I wish I knew.
Have you figured it? I can't figure it out. Like, even when they came out earlier, I'm like, they're not training, or even like, The workouts aren't like the rest of the horses on the track, and that's been like the coolest thing to see this week. That I'm like, hey, whoa, I'm like, that's different.
It seems like it's more longer sustained conditioning, right? I mean, they've got them. They're not these big sort of, okay, one fast blowout work and then kind of put them away. They're constantly out. They're observing their surroundings.
This morning was a jaunt. It was a leisurely jaunt.
That's it.
And it intimidated me.
I guess, but there's something to be said for all the people that are going to be out here on Saturday. The crowd, the noise, all of it. The best you can do to try to acclimate these horses to the surroundings is bring them out. Now, you can't replicate that setting and that atmosphere, but I think that's part of why that's happening. But also, the training is completely different. It seems to be, again, more sort of, a little more laid back at times, but it's more sustained. And whatever they're doing, it's working. Like I said, they're just picking up dubs everywhere.
You mentioned the noise. I always feel like for a lot of trainers, they mention that once they leave here and go to the Preakness, the noise of the Kentucky Derby, the crowd, my old Kentucky home, they'll say the ground will shake as the horses. How in the world can you even prepare for something like that, right? Like what can you replicate in a situation like that? And which horses do you think are going to be best suited for that much noise?
That's a really good question. There have been some Derby prep races leading up to this in California, in New York, obviously in Kentucky as well. You think about Keeneland, you had the Bluegrass Stakes. There had a horse, Tappet Trice, win. He's a horse who could be a little finicky. He's a Tappet, all the Tappets are. So just look for some of the behavior in the paddock tomorrow. I think that'll give you an indication, because it's going to be pretty loud and noisy out there. So watch the TV coverage and look at how they're behaving before the race.
All right, Grace is killing me. One last question. Your picks for Oaks.
Oh my God, my Oaks pick. So I'm stumped. I think it's a real competitive race. Wet paint looks really tough. I hate to go with the favorite.
Don't do
I'm
that.
a big long shot
Don't do
guy.
that. What about South Lawn?
I like South Lawn a lot. We actually, speaking of, we're with Norm Cassidy today. We're embedded with him all day. I should have said South Lawn just to kind of be, because that's who we're following today. That would be our best story.
I'm a big fan of Ray Gutierrez, and I just think, what a bright jockey, that somebody that can finagle through all that, that's your guy.
Yeah, he's great, and he's a great ambassador for the sport as well. He's a phenomenal person. Let's do the exacta. Let's do Wet Paint and South Lawn. 7-4.
Deal.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Lilies have already left the building, or we would have those, and we would have cheers to it. Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate
Follow them over on americasbestracing.net for all the background on the Oaks contenders and the Derby contenders. Stay with us. We're coming right back from Churchill Downs.